It's a great question. I think the first thing is don't quit your day job until you've done real diligence on the idea. And what I mean by that is really look at the market, look at where the market is headed, look at the trends, look at the competitive landscape, and try to play a few strategic moves into the future to see, is this something that's ultimately going to be dominated by X big company or Y big company? That's not always a reason to say no, but it's certainly something you want to look at. And then make sure you have a business model and you know how you're going to make money. And then, bounce it off a few smart people, but not too many. People you really trust but will be honest with you. And if it passes all of those tests, then you should ignore everyone else that tells you it's a bad idea. Because you will hear endlessly from people that are naysayers or don't understand it and haven't researched it as well as you have at that point, who will say, no, that's not possible and here's why. And part of being an entrepreneur is that as long as you've done that initial diligence and you've convinced a few smart people and you all agree that this is an opportunity, then you've got to just believe that to the very end. And because you will get a lot of days where you start to second guess yourself and where people are telling you that it's not a good idea. Now, I'll qualify that with the key to startup success and why they succeed where big companies don't is that they can turn on a dime. And the whole process of, I can take you through how we started Line 2 / Toktumi, but the whole process is, it's really about test and measure in a sense. I mean, yes, we all hear about, there's the Facebooks of the world and there's the Googles, and there are these massive home runs, and everyone sort of thinks that, I just put up a website, and if I get lucky and do the right things, it's going to take off. But very few businesses are created that way, and it's sort of like in the movie business. You can count the major stars on two hands, and everybody else is working their ass off. And not that they don't work either, but it's a little easier for them maybe. And so the trick is you don't have to risk a lot of capital up front to learn things. So the way we do it is, and you don't have to get it right, but you get it out there is the trick. Get something out there. If you sit and stew and try to make it perfect and nothing ever gets out there, you can be too cautious. So the trick is get it out there and then iterate, get feedback from customers. And that's what we've been doing. We got the first version of our product out in February of 2008. And we didn't do much to promote it. We got 50, 70 beta customers, and then we iterated on what they were telling us, what they like about it, what didn't they like about it, what features were missing, what do they want to see. And we iterated for 9 months until we were comfortable to actually start to put marketing money behind it. And there's a lot of learning that is you have to be receptive to. So it isn't really sort of this, put it out there, build the field, and they will come, which really has a whole other aspect to it. Is once you've got the product right, the real challenge is attracting customers to it. It can be a fantastic, insanely great product, but if you can't get the word out and acquire customers cost effectively so that you have a business model and can make money, it doesn't matter how nice a product it is. I have always wanted to start business. I have always felt that running my own company was really the best place for me, the best home for me, for a lot of reasons which we can go into. Typically I'd look at different opportunities and see what could pan out. And the trick is to be very hard on yourself when you're first thinking of an idea and talk to smart people to make sure that you kind of vet it out. And then the first one was, typically you want to solve a problem, right? And the problem I had was that I liked wine, but I would go into a wine store and I had no idea which wine was good and which wasn't, which is still a problem today. So you could read Wine Spectator or other magazines to learn about wine, but then you could never find the wines that they were talking about. And so there was a mismatch between the ability to learn about a wine and then act on that information and make a purchase. And Wine Shopper was my first company, which was a site that combined the ability to buy wine with the information, including ratings from Wine Spectator and Wine Enthusiasts and other agencies, reviews, community, and all of this. And this was in 1999. It was a bubble company. It was funded by Kleiner Perkins and Amazon.com, raised $46 million, and built a 200-employee company very quickly, and ultimately learned some painful lessons in terms of access to capital and how quickly that can dry up. The company was ultimately acquired by a competitor, but that competitor did not survive. So that was my first sort of big venture kind of deal. Good experience, lots of learning, but nobody made any money. Next one, called Mixonic, was I started, I was pretty upset for a little while, and then I realized that, you've just got to pick yourself up and dust yourself off, and that's, entrepreneurship is really like sales in that, you get a lot of discouragement along the way, and you have to be really strong and just keep going. So I just got right back up on the horse, started a company called Mixonic, which is now profitable and growing nicely, still private. I'm on the board, so that one's a wait and see, I'd say. Then I started a company called Teleo, which was a white label version of Skype, if you know what Skype is. I think most people do by now. And that was very lucky timing and was acquired by Microsoft within 18 months of its being founded. And I didn't want to work for Microsoft, so I signed a non-compete, took a year off and traveled, and then started my latest venture, Line 2, also known as Toktumi. But Line 2 is really a solution for where business is headed today in terms of the way people work.